feelings of maybe some pressures on the shoulders. It might be the biggest game that BBD's ever played in his life. Who would know? Definitely not a World Championships final or anything like that. But on that nice transition, here is everybody. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're all well. Only me and Emma got the okay.
Yeah, what the hell? Can you explain that, please?
What's up with the hat? I've got hat hair. Don't tell anybody.
Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Yeah,
it's out on MagicOnline.
Oh,
it's a cowboy hat.
Good setup, Anu. Great.
You literally played with a bird with a cowboy hat earlier. Come on.
That is very true. Yeah, that's a great start to our segment here, which is happy release day, everybody. Outlaws of Thunder Junction is live on MagicOnline, and I have taken a look at some of your deck lists, and I gotta say, yeehaw, because we got some great cards in here. You know what? Let's talk about these deck lists a little bit, and I'm gonna go to maybe the spiciest one here. Obviously, Saffron Olive coming in here with a Hideaway build. What? Let's see if we get that on the screen.
So Collector Cage is one of the cards from Outlaws of Thunder Junction that really caught my eye. One thing I've learned about Modern is if you can sneak an Emrakul into play early in the game, it usually wins. And Collector Cage is another card that can theoretically do that on turn 3. So I'm kind of a human deck, but maybe I play an Emrakul on turn 3. It should be interesting.
What's the odds of that? Like, when I saw this deck list, I was like, I don't understand what the odds of it. Surely that doesn't happen that much, or am I just completely wrong here?
So goldfishing it can do it pretty consistently. Unfortunately, I think some of my opponents are playing removal spells, which is going to make it a little trickier.
Worse. But it's a sick deck. I said to you, this is such a you deck that to see that someone bring this. I'm so happy it's going to be here. And it's got that element. You said it can just be a humans deck. You can get a lot of huge creatures here and just turn them sideways. The good old fashioned way. I love to see it. Who else has some spicy decks?
Yeah, next up we've got Jarvis U. So Jarvis, I just finished streaming your deck a little bit, and I have to say, I went 2-0, 2-0, 2-1. So I won all my matches here. This looks like a very familiar archetype with a little bit of an update. Talk to me about it.
So I've been pretty busy playing Standard and Draft in preparation for the Pro Tour next week, but I knew generally I was prone to registering Prowess as it was. Then when the Spoiled switched off Show Off, I was like, oh, this card is everything I wanted Sprite Dragon to be, but better. Like, if you just play Mutagenic Growth, it's a Fire Blast. If you cast a Lava Dart, it's, the damage output is incredible. So I knew that I wanted to play the deck. I talked to some people about various ways to build deck. You can play Gruul, which I believe Andrea Mengucci played last weekend. You can play straight Izzet. I think if you don't play the third color, you give up some power in your sideboard, such as like Pick Your Poison's incredible from Murders. And yeah, I just think the deck is great. And if you actually checked my Goldfish page, there were some 3-1s working with the old Temur Prowess deck. So I'm very excited to play it today.
Okay. Now, here's what everybody wants to hear right now. And is Jarvis, can you give me your wildest rootin' tootin' yeehaw, please?
Yeehaw! Reach for the sky, you varmints!
I'll take it. And we're going to use that as a transition to talk about Emma's build, which actually, Emma, I noticed that you're playing a lot of the same cards here, but something's a little bit off here. So talk to me about the differences with what you've brought today.
Yeah, so I saw Andreas Mengucci's list from the weekend, and I knew going in I wanted to play Prowess because Slickshot Show Off looks incredible, right? It is this Kiln Fiend and Sprite Dragon merging to be, a really good card. But I wanted to go with Gruul because I really like the card Underworld Breach, and I think Abundant Harvest is also nice just to trigger Channeler for the Delirium. And yeah, to be honest with you, I wanted to play an aggro deck because I'm on UK time, so we're going to be recording pretty late. So I am in the let's finish quick and go to bed.
Yeah, okay.
God bless you.
I like that a lot. Yeah. Okay, so we've taken a look at some of the new decks, but now BBD, you've brought probably one of the most powerful decks in the current meta, and I'm not going to ask you too much about your deck list specifically, well, unless you have something special in this list. But what I want to ask you is, what is your take on, playing something tried and true in a field of a lot of new potential archetypes and cards? Because Thunder Junction is a very powerful set. It's going to have some very clear, ramifications on the modern format. So you're gonna have to try to adapt to what's coming out, right?
Yeah, I think anytime you play a deck that's like a standard deck in a format and there's a bunch of new stuff going on, it can either be a really good thing or a really bad thing. Because sometimes, people are trying new stuff and it's not actually going to work out that well. Or your deck might be like well positioned against it. In terms of these other 3 decks that I'm playing today, I honestly have no idea how well positioned this is or isn't. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out. The reason I ended up picking this deck is just because this is kind of what I've been playing for a while now, and I really enjoy it. So I wanted to at least play it one time in case I get eliminated, so that I've at least got to play it.
All right, channeling your inner Goku, you're about to go Super Saiyan today. I love to see that. Let's cut back to the booth here. And Will, I want to pass the microphone to you. Maybe you have any special questions for our guests here to see how this week is going to go, maybe their thoughts and things like that.
I'm kind of looking at from all of you, like the decks you bought, who would you not want to play playing against? And I'm looking at the decks. I feel like no one wants to play against BBD here, even though I know some people do want to play against BBD, but maybe not his deck choice. Having a big 7/7 against lifelink when you're trying to reduce the life points of your opponent through combat damage can be a bit rough. But I'm going to go through. I'm going to ask you. Let's start with you, Jarvis. You're above me. Like, whose deck do you want to dodge this week? Who do you not want to be playing against? Maybe the mirrors isn't what you want to be doing. I don't know. I haven't tested it.
I think I would prefer not to play against Goryos because I think it's just a very dichotomized play-draw matchup. I think whoever wins the die roll will probably be favored in that matchup overall. In addition, there's a lot of good ways for him to break serve, and even like something like evoking Solitude and ephemerating it, I think is often good enough in a lot of the games you play against Prowess, honestly. So I think I would want to dodge. I'm also kind of terrified of the Volshock refugees that Emma has in the sideboard. I just noticed that they have protection from red, and in the past I played Pyrite Spellbomb in the sideboard of these Prowess style decks. I chose not to do that this time. So the way I would get around that is to hope she blocks and then cast Stomp, targeting someone.
Did you think she was meme? She even tweeted out today. She's like, "Hey, I'm registered this, ladies and gentlemen."
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, she wasn't bluffing.
You can target me with a Stomp if you need to.
Great.
You're so nice. Well,
Yeah.
BBD, which deck do you want to be either, I would say, preying on, or do you want to be dodging out there for you? Obviously, Prowess and potentially turn 3 Emrakuls. I imagine that's pretty bad for everybody involved if that manages to, fire off.
Yeah, I mean, I briefly looked over the other 3 deck lists, and I think probably I would say Jarvis is the one that looks the toughest because he does have some graveyard hate and he does have spell pierces in the sideboard. Saffron also has some graveyard hate too, so I think it could. I don't know. It could be interesting either way. But the other thing is I can also just like I think the games could be really swingy because I could just get completely run over and it just doesn't really matter and I die. Or I could be like blinking Solitude a bunch of times and I don't even need to do the Goryos thing to win. And I like either of those kinds of games, I think could happen like pretty reasonably. So
Well, okay, let's move on to you and then Emma. Who do you want to try and dodge this week?
BBD, definitely, because Solitude and life linking and ephemerate is just a combo. It's going to be really hard for me to beat, I think. I do want to play against Jarvis. I'm hoping I can play Jarvis because I did bring in those pro red cards just for Jarvis. So I hope they get some airtime.
I hope you two can battle as well. I've seen that you're talking a lot in the Discord against each other. Be frenemies, so to speak.
In the first pod, and we didn't play each other, so I would like to play Jarvis at some point.
Well, spoilers, you're not playing each other to start off tonight either. So we could potentially still dodge each other, but we'll find out. Who do you want to play against? Who do you want to be dodging tonight?
Oh, it's definitely the Esper Goryos deck. I don't think I ever beat that deck. That's one of just like the scariest decks in the whole format, and it's BBD playing it, which makes it even worse. So yeah, definitely dodging BBD if I can.
I feel like I'm either setting up to go 2-0 here or just get a 0-2 like
arch enemy. Anyone?
But we're going to be finding that out as obviously we move on. But we've got one last question for you, and who's going to throw that one at you?
Oh yeah, well actually, my questions are all kind of answered here. I actually have nothing. What I will say, Will, is between you and me personally, and so here's what we'll do. We'll cut back to the two of us real quick because I wanted to ask you.